is up, my LARPing lords? Today is a video that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Today we're going to be talking about the Norinco SKS in 7.62 by 39. But before we do, I want to give a few disclaimers. First disclaimer is they did not send me this rifle, believe it or not. This was actually mine. Picked it up a long time ago. Actually, I didn't pick it up. This was a hand-me-down from my grandfather. He actually picked this up forever ago, way before I was born. And so I have no affiliation to the company. You know, I don't speak Chinese, so I couldn't talk to him anyway. So second thing, basement operator company. Basement operator company, believe it or not, is underneath this woodland camo right here, is our apparel line. So that is where most of our funding from the channel comes from. We have awesome apparel there, from sweatshirts, t-shirts, hoodies, beanies, hats, you name it, stickers, canned goods sticker, even though there's not a can on this one, there should be. There, you should pick it up, basementoperator.com. You can check it out, link in the description, okay? It's a big one there. Second biggest supporter of the channel is Classic Country Land. Classic Country Land is a realty company. They sell plots of land from big to small. So if you want to go check them out, link is in the description. You can go over to their Facebook, Instagram. Tell them we sent you. We'd really appreciate it. So big thank you to them for supporting us. All right, so the reason y'all are here, the SKS, the Norinco SKS. Before we talk about specs, I want to give you a little bit of my experience with this thing. As I had previously mentioned, I have had this since I started shooting. This was one of the first rifles I ever shot, and I will forever love this gun. I might have not shot it when it had its bayonet stuck to the front of it. That might be a new recent addition that I think is pretty sweet, but I've had this forever. I shot my first deer with it. I've taken it hunting every single year since then. I might have switched to ARs and AKs and bolts and everything, but this has a place in my heart that's very special. So if you've been around for a long time and watched the channel grow and expand, you'll know that we've already done one video on the SKS, but we really wanted to touch on it again because we felt like we could have done better. What's up, guys? Welcome back. I'm Elliott Delp, and today I'm going to be doing a review on my Chinese SKS. We do a lot more now. We shoot a lot more now. We have a lot more stuff to shoot at now, and we wanted to touch on it again. So let's dive right into it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a little bit of a history lesson, a little bit about it, a little bit of how it came to fruition. So to give a little bit of history and on how this beautiful firearm came to fruition, the commies in 1943 decided they needed a new gun, and this was born. It was good, it was well, but it was soon outclassed by the AK-47 in 1947 when the AK became popular and into production, and the Soviets kicked this thing to the side. They were like, nope, we don't need this anymore, and all was bad in the world again until the Chinese picked it up. And then all the Chinese variants started to flood out of China. It got really popular in the Vietnam War, and then Norinco started making them in the 80s, and just overall adoption by the Chinese military, and then a bunch of other little militaries throughout the world, guerrilla groups, and pretty much anybody that could get their hands on them used them because they're a good firearm. They work well, they're relatively accurate, and they're, for the most part, easy to get a hold of, you know? The best way to get guns to people is to get guns to people that guns are readily available. So if you're trying to get everybody a sniper rifle, it's probably not going to work. But if everybody has one of these and they're all over the place and China has mass produced them, you know, they're readily available and they're used. So this is still probably in use today by some crazy organization far away from the United States, and I know why, because it is an awesome, awesome little firearm. So to talk a little bit about it, to talk a little bit about the specs and the features of it, we want to start out on price point. So the price varies greatly in terms of SKSs. The reason is because there's a ton of different brands out there, from Russian SKSs to Chinese SKSs to whatever company decided they wanted to make or country, company, whatever decided they wanted to make them. But for the most part, you can get one from anywhere between $300 to $500. I think if you can pick one up for 500 bucks, you're probably doing pretty good. And you should shoot me the link to it. But if you're picking it up, 300 bucks is the way to go. I wouldn't shy away from a $400, and I'd really hope it's a beautiful one for a $500 one. As you can see, mine's got a little bit of wear on it. That's just because it's been used. It has very much been used. I've probably shot this gun more than pretty much any gun I have, just because of the length of it. I've been shooting it since day one. So this has a 20-inch barrel on it, an awesome barrel. This thing is incredibly accurate. It's a great little shooter. It's a piston gas system, very similar to the AK, and not exactly the same. You have, as you were working back, you have this, at one time, was beautiful wood furniture. This is Chinese wood, as it is made in China. There's a little made in China thing underneath the barrel right there. Just absolutely awesome. After you get past the wood, you get to the receiver itself. This does a 10 round, I don't want to say magazine, I don't want to say clip, it just, you put 10 rounds in it. You can use stripper clips, which I don't have any here. You can see in the B-roll I was using stripper clips, which function horribly. Thank God we use magazines now. That was one of the reasons that this was kicked to the curb by the Russians. The AK-47 used a magazine. But you insert the stripper clip right here at the bolt. You shove the rounds down in it. You release it, slams forward, seats the first one, and you're good to go. 10 rounds, like I had mentioned. If you want to unload it, there's this little clip down here that you pull back on, and it drops. All the bullets fly out all over the place. When I would take it hunting and I would shoot a deer and I would unload it, I would always manage to lose like 3 of them in the field, because I was, smaller back in the day, fumbling all over the place, and drops rounds everywhere. But in general, that's the gist of it. There's not much to it. It's a fairly simple firearm. The safety's down here on the side. It kind of flips back, lets you know you're good to go or not. Trigger pulls, nothing special, nothing crazy. Sights are they're very similar to AK sights. They'll stretch out to 1,000 yards. All you have to do is pinch and ramp up, and that'll let you shoot further, okay? One thing I did forget to mention, the bayonet. Nothing says old gun like bayonet, and it's a neat little thing to have. There's no practical use really anymore. I mean, I guess there is a practical use, but not really. It's awesome to have. It's awesome to say you have a gun with a bayonet. It may or may not be legal to have it mounted on it, depending on what state you're in and what the crazy rules are. But if you can find one with its original bayonet, that's an awesome, awesome thing to have and to feature. So, in terms of reliability, accuracy, and just overall shooting, the SKS is hard to beat. It's incredibly accurate for the 7.62 by 39, and especially for being like an old Chinese rifle. I've always been impressed by how accurate the firearm is. Now, I'm no sniper, but I would say that it is better than some ARs. Of course, ARs don't have a ton of crazy accuracy either, and I wouldn't say it's up to par with a bolt gun, but it's definitely good to take reliable shots out. I don't know if I'd shoot at 1,000 yards with it, but that 300 yards is probably my max shooting. I would definitely use it for that, and I know a lot of people that would go further than that with it, but that's just not me. I think it's good for that. Some of the drawbacks that I have with it is it's small, so it's kind of like I don't know. It's up in your face. It's definitely good for younger shooters, smaller shooters that aren't as big, aren't as, I guess, developed. I was shooting this when I was like 13 years old, and I was capable at it with 13 years old, because it's just easier to handle and easier to manipulate for a smaller person. And that's why I feel like one of the drawbacks is just how big it is. It's just easier to use if you're smaller. There's just, I don't know, maybe it could use a longer stock, maybe, like if it was like that. Okay, a lot of people, that's a lot of people I see will change out the stocks on these to synthetic stuff. I knew somebody one time that did that, and the accuracy was out the door after they swapped the stocks to a synthetic stock. So I would never recommend it. If you're looking to pick one up, keep that in mind. I don't know if that's universal. Those are the only two SKS experiences I've had, was with this one and the synthetic one. And the synthetic one was awful because it swapped the furniture on it, never shot the same ever again. Could have been them. It could be the furniture. I don't know. It's just my personal opinion on it and my personal experience with it. Why would you buy this? Why should you care? Like, really? Like, why should you care about an old 1943, well, designed in 1943 firearm? That's a good question, because there's no practical use for it today other than it just being a fun relic of the past. It won't compete with a lot of modern firearms. It won't compete in terms of being able to reload quickly with it. It won't compete in terms of being able to, get a lot of rounds off. There's 10 rounds. That's all you got, I wouldn't buy this firearm to go to war with. Now, if it was the only thing I had, I'd be okay with it. But I wouldn't buy it to go to war with. But I would buy it if you were looking to get a good, reliable 7.62 by 39 rifle. You want to maybe take it hunting. You want to find something for your kids to start them out on. I didn't even mention the recoil. It does it a little bit more snappy, but it's not bad. It's on par with like an AK. There's not much difference in terms of the felt recoil for it and the AK. But that's having it and being able to use it. Young shooters being able to use it, I think, is a great thing. Now, a lot of young shooters will use an AR, but to get a larger caliber AR, you're definitely spending more than $400 or $500. And I think these SKSs in particular can be far more reliable than an AR-15 can be, especially for the money. So that's one of the benefits to having an SK is, the reliability and what you get for the money. An incredibly accurate little rifle that has stood the test of time, and you just won't be disappointed in it. I can't praise the little gun enough. As you can tell, I'm incredibly biased towards it, just because, it's one of those things I've had a ton of experience with. I grew up with it. I shot a lot of deer with it, and I've used it, and it's just an awesome firearm. I hope you enjoyed the little history lesson about, how it came about from the 40s and progressed through time and kind of got shoved out of the Soviets and picked up by the Chinese and integrated into Vietnam. I know it wasn't very detailed, but it was a little bit. Pick it up if you can get it. Take care of it, restore it, make sure it stays good and clean, and use it and enjoy it. And once again, a big thank you to Classic Countryland for sponsoring the channel. Make sure to go check them out. Link in the description down below. Make sure to follow me on Instagram. So we'll see you guys on the next one. As always, take someone outdoors. Peace.